Namaste, everyone, and welcome back. So, we are going to be seeing Mundaka Upanishad, Chapter 1, Section 1, Mantra 7. I'll start with the invocation. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्ष्र्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. I will chant the verses 1 to 7. ॐ ब्रह्मा देवानां प्रथमः सम्बभूव विश्वस्य कर्ता भुवनस्य गोप्ता स ब्रह्म विद्यां सर्वविद्याप्रतिष्ठाम् अथर्वाय ज्येष्ठपुत्राय प्राह अथर्वणीयां प्रवदेत ब्रह्मा अथर्वातां पुरोवाचाङ्गिरे ब्रह्मविद्याम् स भारद्वाजाय सत्यवहाय प्राह भारद्वाजो अङ्गिरसे परावराम् शौनको ह वै महाशालः अङ्गिरसं विधिवदुपसन्नः प्रपच्छ कस्मिन्नु भगवो विज्ञाते सर्वमिदं विज्ञातं भवतीति तस्मै स होवाच द्वे विद्ये वेदितव्ये इति हस्मयद् ब्रह्मविदो वदन्ति परा चैवापरा च तत्रापरा ऋग्वेदो यजुर्वेदः सामवेदो अथर्ववेदः शिक्षा कल्पो व्याकरणं निरुक्तं छन्दो ज्योतिषमिति अथ परायया तदक्षरमधिगम्यते यत्तदत्रेष्यमग्राह्यमगोत्रमवर्णम् अचक्षुश्रोत्रं तदपाणिपादम् नित्यं विभुं सर्वगतं सुसूक्ष्मं तदव्ययम् यद्भूतयोनिं परिपश्यन्ति धीराः यथोर्णनाभिसृजते गृह्णते च यथा पृथिव्यामोषधयः सम्भवन्ति यथा सतः पुरुषात् केशलोमानि तथाक्षरात् सम्भवतीह विश्वम् tapasa chiyate brahma tato namabhijayate annat prano manas satyam lokah karmasu chamritam. So we are seeing mantra 7, and as I had said, I'll repeat the clarifications and the portion again because it is very important and very oft quoted in bhashyams and a very essential verse for reflection. There is also some questions which I hope in the process of the class today it'll get answered. So I'm not replying back at this point. If it does not get clarified, you may please ask again. Let us start from the very beginning of the Upanishad, from where Shaunaka has asked a question. And remember that this is a dialogue. Shaunaka has asked, what is that one thing knowing which I will know everything? Let us put ourselves in Shaunaka's place. From where will that question come to us? When we wake up and we see the world around us, we see a world around us and we see inequality, we see differentiation. We don't know the past, we don't know the future, we don't know how things happen, what controls what. We just see something in front of us. But most often, we are clueless about how does this all function? Where is it coming from? We can never be certain about our knowledge of whatever we have acquired so far because it is not complete. Knowledge keeps getting modified. So we never for sure can be rested that this knowledge that I have now is complete. And this is what creation is, or this is what the world is, or this is what I am, or this is what people are, or what everything that can come up as question. Unless and until, as I said a few classes ago, unless and until we are able to put ourselves in Shaunaka's shoes and think like Shaunaka, where has the question come from? If we find ourselves in full appreciation of the stand from where the question has emerged, it will settle down the stand from where the answers are coming in the Upanishad that Angiras is giving. Incidentally, this question is there even now, forever in creation. Where has all this come from? I have heard, I believe, Stephen Hawking was also trying to find one equation with which everything can be answered. He'd gone to his professor after he'd got his doctorate, and the professor asked him, "What would you do now?" He says, "Same. I want to find out one equation where means I want to simplify every answer in one equation." Very, very, very inspiring and very parallel to what Shaunaka has asked in the Upanishad. Means human being is in constant quest for understanding a unifying principle, a unification of this diversity and plurality that we recognize around us. Idea is because Shaunaka is Upanishad, it's theory for us. I am bringing Stephen Hawking now in the present context to appreciate the question is, what is that one unifying equation in Stephen Hawking's language which will explain away everything? Time, space, causation, bottom it down. His specialty was time. Everything will get answered, and he used the word simple equation. I want a simple equation. Means I'm looking for that simple equation which will give an answer to everything, which will answer all our queries. This is the question. Answer has started from the 5th verse. And in 5th verse, it was introduced as this Jagat that we find and we have questions about is taken to be karyam, effect. It is an effect because whatever we see, our question is, where has it come from? Shastra is not giving us an answer. Stephen Hawking is looking for, and whole physical world is looking for, mathematical world is looking for, all scientists are looking for. Where has this come from? Where has life come from? Is life only on this planet, etc.? So the question is with us. We have the question, where has this come from? That means we are saying this is an effect. Where has the pot come from? I see a name and form of pot. And when a pot is in front of me, I am just asking, where has this pot come from? Question is legitimate. Where has it come from? So I can say it has come from the pot maker. Pot maker has made the pot. But to make the pot, pot maker had some material with which he made the pot. So I have two ingredients available or two pieces available to bring together in my knowledge of pot. The intelligent creator, the intelligent one who conceived the pot, who had an idea of a pot, in whom the pot was latent, in a potential state, in whom the pot was still unmanifest, in his thinking, in his mind. In pot maker's mind, before he created that pot, it was still unmanifest. It was not seen by my eyes. I could not see a pot. So when I see a pot, I'm asking, where has it come from? The answer to say that it has come from mud, clay, is not adequate also. Because mud did not by its own self create a pot. It did not just happen that the mud had a will, the clay had a will, and one day clay modified itself and it became a pot. No. So if you reflect along this a little or grasp it, you see that for anything that we see around us, there is a twofold component that is mixed up in our understanding of when we say, what is this, where has it come, etc. Twofold is, we presume there is an intelligent being, there is some intelligence functioning in whom the Vyakriti creation was held in an unmanifest state. Only then it can be called effect, in whom it was unmanifest first. And then to make it manifest, this intelligent person had to have the material, went about gathering material to give the unmanifest a Vyakrit still, but Vyakrit in his Manaha, but not Vyakrit for others. So all of us know what we think. Thank God nobody else knows what we think. Because if somebody else was to see what we think, it would be impossible to live in harmony with anybody, because we all know that, thank God, our thoughts are only known to us and most often not even known to us. So, what was held in ourselves, in the pot maker's mind here, he goes about collecting the material from it, from whatever's available outside, of course. The minute he starts gathering the material, he puts that, what was in his mind, and now, with the help of material that he has got, he creates the shape called pot. And so, pot becomes a complete knowledge when I know the material and the maker of it. Question was asked with reference to what is that one thing for which this jagat is an effect, is a karyam. It starts from there, that it is a karyam, because I am seeing the pot. So I am asking, what is this pot? Pot is a karyam. It's an effect. It's a produce. It's a product. It's a product. What is creation? It's a product. It's a produce. It's an effect. Technical term, karyam. So far, I'm sure everybody's got it. Jagat, Srishti, Prapancha is a karyam. Karyam word is introduced by Shastra because my experience is of karyam. I'm experiencing a jagat. I'm experiencing pot. And my question is with reference to pot, jagat. I'll repeat this. Karyam word is not what I know. I only see a pot. I contact a pot. I want to know about a pot. And my query is such that to complete the answer, it says this pot is produced. It did not arise as a pot. It was not there before as a pot. It will not remain as a pot once it breaks. That means what is pot seen now, before it was pot, was not a pot. What was it before? And once pot breaks, it will not be a pot. What was it later? What will it be later? And when it is pot, what is it then? To give that clarity to the student, Shastra says, start seeing or understand that this pot is a product and keep drawing the parallel to creation. What is a product? Creation is a product. Excuse me. Creation is a product. If creation is a product, what is the Karan of pot? There are two: the intelligent being and the material cause. The intelligent cause and the material cause. Both combined only can I get a pot. If there is only a pot maker but he doesn't have the material, I do not get a pot for my experience. If there is a material lying around but we don't have a pot maker, we don't still have a pot lying around for us to experience. The world is here for us to experience. So there are two components to it. There is an intelligent being supposed, and there is also a material cause has to be there for a world to now be experienceable. Now, if the pot is karyam, karanam we have established as clay and the pot maker. In the case of creation, who is the intelligent being and what is the material? From where has the material come? Now, to answer Shaunaka, fifth verse had said, that is why they said, before you are explained the Upanishad, you are supposed to be memorizing the verses so that you don't have to go forward and backward in the verse pages. In the fifth verse, there was only one word which was introduced when he said Paravidya and Aparavidya. And the verse had ended to say that that higher knowledge, which is what is to be known, by which you will know everything, is called Tat Aksharam. Adhigamyate. You will know. You know. Know it as Aksharam. Take the word as Aksharam for now. In the Upanishad, it's used as Aksharam because in Vedanta, it's got another word, Brahman. But stick to the topic. Topic says Aksharam. Aksharam, which doesn't decline, which does not decay, which does not disintegrate, which does not change. Akshara. Kshara Vyaya. Akshara Avyaya. It has no change, it doesn't decline. That was the fifth verse. And then he explains Aksharam in the sixth mantra. What is this Aksharam? Means Akshara Brahma is the Karanam for this Jagat, which is to be known, which is the higher knowledge. That Aksharam Brahma is Adreshyam, Agrahyam, Agotram, Avarnam, Achakshush, Ashrotram. Tat Apani Apadam. Then positive. Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam Susukshmam Tat Avyayam. Yat Bhutayonim Paripashyanti Dhiraha. So that Aksharam Brahman is now further given in Lakshanas. What is that Akshara Brahman? And at the end it said, where the Karya Karana Sambandha is now getting established through Yat Bhuta Yonim. It is also the Yoni, the Karana for all the Bhut. Bhuta Yoni. It is a Bhuta Yoni. It is the cause of all the beings. The Dhiras see that Aksharam as all this. Means now the last word here, Upanishad has established a Karya Karana Sambandha between Aksharam and Jagat. Which means, where has this Jagat come from? Go exactly parallel to what I started. Where has the pot come from? Where has the Jagat come from? To establish where has the Jagat come from, Karya is Jagat. It's a product. It's a produce. It's a change. It's come about as a change of something. But for any change to manifest, to happen as a product, to be experienceable, there has to be someone who has conceived it, and there has to be a material for it. That is the question. Establishing this Karya Karana Sambandha to go further through examples in the seventh verse. So I'm repeating now because we are now entering the seventh verse. Karya Karana Sambandha, which is one of the prakriyas in Vedanta for further reflection, is established in this portion of the Mundaka Upanishad. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th verse are now establishing that prakriya. And to explain how that pot maker and the material which we see in the world as general knowledge are always separate. The maker is separate from the material. He has to go around looking for the material. In fact, a lot of our ideas are left as ideas because we don't find the inclination or the time or the motivation or the material to put it into action. So that means for us to think that there is a material cause Where has the material come from, Jagat? That means the creator and the material world, he must have had to create, he must have needed some material for this world. Space, air, fire, water, earth must have been there before somewhere. And then Bhagwan put them together, or Brahman or Aksharam put them together and creates the world. That means there are two realities. There must be matter somewhere, space, air, fire, water, earth, at least this much. As students, we may not know that, but whatever is the material with which the world has been created, it must be there that Aksharam modified that material and created the world. Is that the role between creator and creation? Through these three examples, and why Upanishad gives them as examples, at least not that I have heard from anyone, but I personally feel this very strongly, that Upanishad here does not want to give too much logic into it, because it wants us to reflect on the example. That example is adequate enough, because Aksharam is not going to be able to be explained. You cannot explain it. And to know Jagat, any amount of explanation will always have another question after that. Where has that come from? Where has that come from? Anavastha will always be a flaw in logical thinking for anything that cannot be pointed to its cause, original cause, first cause. Aksharam being the first cause. You cannot answer this in a logical manner here. In this context, he says, think first, make the correction in your thinking. And what is that? That the material cause and the intelligent cause are not two different entities. It is not that Aksharam needs the material from somewhere else. Aksharam itself is the material which has transformed, in the sense it will get explained later. Aksharam itself is the material from which the Avyakritam has become Vyakrit Jagat. So the intelligent being is Aksharam, and material from which it creates is from within its own self. Its own self is the material. Now that, because we may find it difficult to accept, so it gives example. And remember, in every logical explanation ends with an example. Only then, if it can be shown as an example, you can say that this contention can be proved, can hold. So Upanishad goes straight to the example. If there is an example like that, that means this contention can hold. And what is the example first? First example, spider and web. Fascinating that Upanishad can, when you didn't, when you don't understand the fullness of this portion, you find it very strange that an Upanishad would come up with such an example. Spider is the intelligent creator of the web, and the material of the web comes from its own self. Urnanabhi, that's why another name for spider. In fact, spider is a very misleading word. Urnanabhi is from its own navel, as if the material is held. Urna is wool, so it's held inside and then it takes it out. The threads are thrown out. Now, the example has a limitation. Every aspect of example is not supposed to be parallel. What is the point that is driven here in this first example? That the material is not, spider doesn't go on collecting material from the outer world like a pot maker does. Spider has a material within, and when it is appropriate, it throws it out. But not only throws it out, means it takes it out, vyakrit karta hai, it expands it, that inside what is unmanifest is now expanded outside. It also resolves within if it needs, which means while it is weaving, it is connected to the, it's in the produce and it is still connected to that thread. Supposing we give it a little fear, it quickly resolves back till this point. Very often, after that, a spider, once it's created its web, can complete it. It's almost just a gant bandi. It's finished and it can separate itself from it. The example does not extend to that portion. The example is only extending up to the portion. Draw the parallel in your mind of that stage where spider shows that intelligent and the material maker is one. Same. The example is only up to this point. After that, the web is separate, the spider is separate. No problem. That's not the equation. That's not what the Upanishad wants to say. The point here that is only being driven is that this Aksharam is the intelligent creator, Nimitta Karanam, and it is the material creator, means Upadana Karanam, material cause. It is the intelligent cause, material cause. Nimitta Upadana Karanam. Shaunaka says, what is that one with which I will know everything? He said it's Aksharam. Aksharam is the higher knowledge. That Aksharam is what is now explained as Nimitta Upadana Karanam of Jagat. This much. Okay. That means this Aksharam, once the Jagat is made, like the spider, like the pot maker, does it get separated? Is there a relation still held between them? Or once Bhagavan has, and that is where Sankhya school, the other schools come, and that is where it gets differentiated into this Advaita Vedanta. Sankhya Vaisheshika will come as a separate school where now world is a separate entity, Bhagavan is a separate entity. But Vedanta would say, Advaita Vedanta would say, that they are not separated now. Though Jagat is looking separated, but it still is connected. Connected as in, just like plant and earth. So you have, when this Aksharam has created, it's not created only one type of a creature. There is a plurality it has expanded into. Entire plurality, what we call as Srishti, Jagat, this entire plurality is not separate. It remains non-separate from the creator. So even though the spider has thrown the web out, it gives us the impression the web is separate and the spider is separate. Jagat, in that sense, from the first example, if there was a limitation of that example and it may not give us a full idea, Upanishad gives us the second example. Because the first example may not cover it fully. But the second example of plant, entire plant life and earth, all beings and earth, they all sustain themselves on earth. All plants grow. The entire plant kingdom, the Aushadhi, is rooted in earth. You can see it separate. You can see the manifest part, but you are not seeing the unmanifest part which is held in earth. It is never separated from earth. If it gets separated, it no longer is alive. So for it to show that aspect, that it remains non-separate even when it looks separate. So the idea of non-separation is not the physical part of it. Creation is the physical part. But once created, has the creator got separated from his creation? No. Advaita Vedanta says It is the sustainer, it is the nourisher of this creation. It never is separated. It is the womb of all the beings. It still is holding its nourishment. It is Aksharam itself, which is the Adhishtan. Just as for entire plant kingdom, and from plant kingdom, other kingdoms are dependent on it. So everything gets dependent on earth. Earth remains non-separate from plant, even when plant seems to be separate. But they are still connected, because if they had got separated, it no longer is alive. Okay. So the second example introduces the word. The first example said Nimitta Upadana Karanam. Aksharam is Nimitta Upadana Karanam of whatever you want to know. Jagat. One word, Jagat. The second example has introduced another word now. It is Abhinna. Abhinna. Bhinna means separate. Abhinna is non-separate. It is Abhinna Upadana, Nimitta Upadana Karanam of Jagat. Now you have derived, there is two, but it still is a dependent reality. The creation remains a dependent entity, because the one creator has never separated out from it, is not moved away from it, does not take it out and then sits in Vaikuntha or sits wherever, or Brahman Nirgunam, and then etc. No. The creation is expanded, creation has happened, and that creation remains non separate. Then another word can come, but in creation, I find so much inertness. And if your fundamental principle with which we started the argument from, the logic from, that the effect must be seen as potential in the cause, only then can you derive a cause and effect relation. I'm repeating. For any effect to be, it must be held in a potential state in the cause. Only then can effect manifest. For a pot to be held as pot outside in my hand, that must be the potential in the pot maker and the material. It is a potential which is establishing Vyakriti. Example, from an apple seed, I will not ever get I will not complete it. You can write it if you want. From an apple seed, I will never get a mango. From an apple seed, I will never get a guava or whatever I like. I have one seed. Why can't I get what I want from it? Because the apple tree is manifest, Vyakriti, and it was holding itself as potential in the apple seed. Undifferentiated in apple seed, differentiated, manifested as an apple tree. There is a Karya Karana Sambandha established. You cannot have from an apple seed an orange tree, because orange is not the potential in apple seed. So the principle is that for any effect to happen, manifestation, for any effect, for any product to happen, it must be held potential in the cause. So if I want to make, I have a chunk of gold. In that chunk of gold, I have a potential of many ornaments, different ornaments. But if I don't have the chunk of gold, or from gold, anyway, gold can, limited example. So all my ornaments are in potential state in that avyakrita brick of gold. Entire Srishti is potential. That is how we established Karanam is Aksharam. If that is so, a question will come. I'm repeating once more. If effect is potential in cause, then in effect here in Jagat we see two different kinds of effects. One is living, one is inert. There is inert matter which doesn't express Chaitanyam, and there is a living matter which expresses Chaitanyam. Then how do you establish that there is only one cause of two? Are there two causes? Because that means the material cause, the achetana cause, the jada cause should be another, and the chetana cause should be another. So maybe we can accept that the Aksharam Brahma is is the is the cause for all Jeev Atmas. But for material world, there must be another material cause to miss, uh, to give away, to refute that kind of or to complete the understanding of the relation between Karya Karanam. The third example comes in that though it is correct that effect is held potential in cause is a Samanya principle, Samanya Hetu. But there are Vishesha exceptions still seen, and the Vishesha exception is just as from a living being, your hair grows on the head and on the body. And we said, add nails. Means this being inert, we know it is inert. And how do we know? If you cut it, I don't get pain. But if you cut my finger, I'll scream. Which means this doesn't experience pain. But it is coming from my living head. It's an extension of my body. Nail is an extension of my body. It is rooted here and then it extends also. I cut that extended part. I don't have any pain, but it has its support from here. So a living entity, Chaitanyam, is also a karanam of something which is jad. Later on, jad Chaitanya Viveka gets established. So the three examples are proving, quote unquote, are helping us complete the cognition, are helping us complete the picture of first establishing Aksharam as the Karanam, and this Aksharam is Chaitanyam. It is abhinna from the Jagat, and it itself is the material of the Jagat. Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Chaitanya Karanam. So through 7th verse, what have we arrived at? See the sequence of thought. In the 7th verse, we have arrived at what is that one thing knowing which I will know everything? That one thing is Aksharam. It is in its own state, Nirguna state, Adreshyam, Agrahyam, cannot be known by senses, cannot be reached, etc. And then to establish the relation with the world, this is what I need to know. This is my world of experience. I need to know this, because if Brahman is that and is disconnected with this, then I am still as in avidya, I still do not know what is this whole world about. That Aksharam is Karanam for this, and that Karanam is Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Chaitanya Karanam of Jagat. With this, the 7th verse mantra gets completed. And then in the 8th verse, he expands it further. He will now explain in the 8th verse, and there are certain technical terms. I will once again remind all of us. The stage of learning Prakarna Granthas is different. The stage of learning Smriti Grantha is different, and the stage of learning Shruti is different, and then stage of learning Brahma Sutra is still different because it gets lesser in explanation as it comes to Shruti, Upanishads. Now, in the eighth mantra, same Aksharam Brahman, the question is now going to be, we have established Brahman is the Karanam of this Jagat and it's Abhinna Nimittam. This, of course, and by the way, I will just introduce it. It's also a technical way of called Adhyaropa Pavada, but I am not moving into that for now because Upanishad is stating very, very clearly that this Aksharam now, being the Karanam of this Jagat, one more point needs to be clarified, which is, has the whole thing come up together at one go, or has one brought order into the other and then one after? Is there a krama or is it simultaneous creation? And the example Shankara gives in the Bhashyam is very interesting. Is it something when you've held a mutti, a fist, you have in your hand berries and you drop them? Simultaneously, you drop them. So when you drop them, they all spread out together. And then they sprout if necessary. You can get into the extension. But the example is you drop them simultaneously. You drop them. So they're all come, they're not seen here. And then you drop them. Now it's seen. What do I have in children? We play. What do I have in my hand? What do I have in my hand? I have a few berries in my hand. Badaram, he says, and then I drop them. Is this creation come from Aksharam, just manifested with all the plurality? Has it just come like that? Suddenly Bhagwan has dropped all of us. Means Brahman, Aksharam has created this everything simultaneously. Or is there a order, krama? First one, then next, then next, then next, and then next. And that is how creation has come. For which this verse, 8th verse, which we will take up next time, I think 7th verse is worth reflecting, spending time with, because this is that aspect which a lot of Brahma Sutra will elaborate in explanation. Then in the 8th verse, now that question will get resolved, that this Aksharam Brahman, how does he create? Means, is there he, she, it, whatever you want to call, it's genderless anyway. How is the creation manifested, remaining abhinna, remaining nimitta, remaining upadana, remaining chaitanyam, and yet a jagat is seen? Is it in order? Is it in sequence? And the verse says it is in sequence. It is not dropped simultaneously. So you don't have all elements and mahatatvams and everything come together. No. It is going to be in order. In Aksharam Brahman, there are technical terms, as in all the words used here will be a different meaning. From Brahman, the first origin, I think we'll take it up next time, because just let's leave it over here. I hope this now gets clarified. I think one of you had a doubt, some clarifications on it, and we will end here. If you have any doubt, you can write back again, or else just run over it mentally. I'll just end the class. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhave. So, I hold on if you have anything to say for a few minutes. Otherwise, okay, Hari Om then everyone. Thank you, and I hope it's a little more clearer now.